16 July, 1944. Occupied France. On Lac Pavin Lake, a few German trucks idle among the pines, canvas flaps drawn, engines ticking as they cool. 8 officers from an SS rear detachment stragglers and security men, trailing SS Panzer Division, have decided the war can pause for their amusement. They called it a discipline inspection. They took the local men first. Farmers and winemakers from the nearby village shot them by the roadside for helping partisans, as they usually called it. Then marched their wives and daughters to the lake. Silently aiming his Walther and nibbling on an apple, the commander Helmut Kempfe orders in French. Strip each other naked, gently and slowly. The women, all in their 20 seconds and 30 seconds, stand in the rain, shivering and silent. The Germans treat them like curiosities, forcing obedience with cold precision. 3 younger officers wait on the road as lookouts, watching for passing convoys so no one notices what happens by the lake. 2 others lead the 4 women toward a parked BMW sidecar, laughing, while a captured French camera Leica changes hands, its shutter clicking in the drizzle as the officers bark orders no one dares to question. Sturmbannführer personally corrects the body posture of each of them, his personal gain, as he says, lying down and sitting close to them. The commander personally corrects the body posture of each of his personal prizes, as he puts it, lying down and sitting close together, surrounding himself with them. Suddenly, the one he placed on top of him starts loudly screaming in panic a few seconds later and trying to take his pistol. 15 seconds later, she was already in the lake. What none of them see is the man in the trees. He is 39. Tall. U.S. Scout. Birth name: Jacob Stein, of Strasbourg. Son of a bookbinder. Gone to America in 1927. OSS cover. Carl Weiss, transport officer. Asterisk here's times pass stamped with an eagle and a forged signature. Code name: Haymaker. His mission assigned 3 weeks ago in London, briefed over maps at Blaye, was sabotage, rail at Issoire, fuel dump near Pontgibaud, line cutting ahead of times, Cobra asterisk. Not rescue. Never rescue. Stay dark. Stay moving. Stay alive until the drop at Royat on the 28th. But missions on paper don't breathe. The scene at the lake does. He watches through pine boughs, fingers cold on the rubber of a French field phone headset he's gutted and rewired into a passable signaler's prop. He understands every word shouted the lazy Swabian vowels, the clipped Berlin mockery, the soft Bavarian Fräulein made into a knife. He also understands the quick, swallowed French replies, Auvergnat edges roughening the syllables. He could walk away. Radio London. Mark the unit, and let the Maquis bleed it later on the road. He could tell himself the truth that has kept him alive from Rouen to Toulon. One man cannot fight a column. Then the Leica clicks again, and Jacob sees the dead men in the ditch, in the faces of their wives, and the other life he used to live, books under his arm. The cathedral in Strasbourg, pink in morning light, folds into a single, intolerable point of decision. He puts the headset around his neck, steps back through the fern, and becomes Carl Weiss completely. Deception first. Always deception. He slips to the road where the trucks nose the trees, tugs his stolen SS tunic straight, checks the angle of his felled Gendarmerie gorget in the sidecar's mirror, and drags a tarpaulin over the Maquis supply crates hidden in the ditch. He picks up a clipboard with blank paper that looks like authority at 20 paces. The lake is 50 meters away, screened by pine. His breath steadies. His voice becomes Germany. He even pinches the vowels thinner. Asterisk, Herr Hauptsturmführer. Asterisk, he calls, irritated, over the engine noise. Asterisk, Dringender Befehl times from Clermont. Feldkommandantur wants an immediate headcount of officers. There's been a sabotage on the Issoire line, orders to move in small packets. Report to the road. Now. The first officer capped jauntily wrong. Cruelty rehearsed, turns half away from the women. "Who are you?" he demands, without walking. Jacob lets his face go bored. "Transport." "Orders," he says, snapping the clipboard up as if the paper itself bites. "They're moving artillery near Mont d'Or. There's a check on officer passes. Feldjäger are looking for looters." A word like a fishhook. No SS man wants Feldjäger scrutiny. Two of them stir. Authority, used correctly, does not push. It pulls. Jacob does not look at the women. He does not dare. He leads with the most brittle of lies, the kind Germans built into their own system. He makes them fear the next German more than they enjoy the current crime. One by one, like sleepwalkers, 3 officers peel from the lakeshore and tramp to the road to sign his nothing. Only when the first is close enough for Jacob to smell stale tobacco on his breath does the agent let the tiniest plan uncoil. The winery at the slope's foot, the cellar he reconnoitered 2 nights ago while laying wire on the Bessay Road, has an iron door and a quiet yard. He has keys, he has rope, he has a truck with a canvas that hides mercy as well as arms. This was never the mission. It is now. The first officer reaches the road with a swagger that's practiced, not earned. Hauptsturmführer Kessler Jacob clocks the collar tabs, and the cheap gold ring leans over the clipboard. "Name," Jacob says, without looking up. "Kessler," the man replies, impatient. "Hurry it up." Jacob's left hand turns the page, his right lifts the pen, then slides instead to the clipboard's spine where a loop of black wire waits. It looks like a lanyard. It isn't. The wire flips over Kessler's head, bites, and Jacob steps in tight, forearm behind the neck, heel hooked behind a boot. The strangler's rhythm is silent and ugly. 3 seconds to panic, 6 to sag, 10 to finish. Jacob eases the body down behind the Opel's bumper, tucks the feet under the canvas tail, and comes up with the pen already scratching a fake signature. "Next," he calls, bored again. The second officer, a lieutenant with spectacles and a camera still around his neck, saunters up, amused. "Paperwork in a forest," he snorts. "Germany will never." Jacob points with the pen toward the truck bed. "Load there. Feldjäger check includes captured material. You don't want that on you." The lieutenant blushes, lifts the canvas, peers in. Jacob's palm meets the back of his skull. The man tips forward into a crate of empty bottles with a tinkling crash. Jacob's hand finds the Leica first evidence and leverage and slides it into his tunic. Then he drags the lieutenant fully into the bed and drops the canvas. From the lake, laughter floats. No one has missed anyone yet. Timing buys options. Options keep you alive. Jacob turns back toward the water and raises the clipboard high, a semaphore of bureaucracy. "Nur Offizier," he calls. "Schnell Feldjäger Wharton." He can feel the moment tipping. If he pulls too many at once, a sergeant will smell something off and run to the trucks. If he delays, the play at the lakeshore curdles into something he cannot undo. He chooses the narrow middle. A third officer and a Feldgendarmerie NCO appear together, the NCO already scowling. "You there," the NCO barks. "What Kommandantur?" Jacob doesn't let him finish. He snaps the gorget chain with 2 fingers like a man adjusting his own, gives the NCO a fractional nod, a real superior might, and shoves the clipboard into the officer's hands. "Sign for your men," he says flatly. "Then both of you take the women to the winery for Vernehmung. Photo evidence is contraband. Feldjäger want the negatives at once." The magic word again. Feldjäger. The NCO's scowl becomes obedience. Jowl. Jacob pivots, barking toward the lake without looking. "You. Bring them. Cover them." He speaks German to the officers, French to the women. The switch, hidden in the noise. "Vous allez vivre," he murmurs as blankets are thrown around shoulders. "You are going to live." Down. Heads down. He shepherds them up the slope under canvas, eyes on boots, hand on the NCO's shoulder, as if pushing him toward duty. The convoy becomes a parody of order officers in front, women under tarp, Jacob between. The winery sits 100 meters up the lane, its stone walls damp and veined with ivy. Jacob has the key he stole on Tuesday from a hook in the cooper's shed. He hands the NCO a flashlight. "Cellar, archive the film. I'll bring the register." The NCO grunts, leads the way down narrow steps that smell of mold and must. In the corridor below, the air is heavy with CO2 from fermenting vats, the invisible gas pooling like water. Jacob knows its weight, its silence. He also knows exactly where the floorboards over the old press give. "Mind the edge," he says in German, stepping light. The NCO's flashlight follows the words, "Not the floor." A rotten plank hinges. One leg plunges. He drops to a knee with a curse, MP40 clattering. Jacob's hand is already on the weapon, boot on the plank to trap the man. "Helfen," the NCO starts. Jacob helps by driving the MP40's muzzle up under the man's chin and pressing the trigger once. The cough is soft, contained by his palm and the stone. The lieutenant behind him makes a sound like a question. Jacob answers with the butt of the MP40 across the bridge of the nose. Bone cracks. The man goes down without a shot. 2 gone at the road, 2 in the dark. Different problems, different tools. Upstairs, one woman starts to sob. Jacob switches tongues without thinking. "Boss, boss, ça y est, enough. It's done." He swings the cellar door open, hustles the women inside, and points to a narrow ventilation shaft he widened the prior night with a chisel. "Par ici, vite. Cachez-vous au fond. Je reviens." "This way, quickly. Hide at the back. I'll come back." He wedges a barrel sideways, hides the door with a rack of dusty bottles, and hangs a sign, "Rauchen verboten" at eye level for any German. No smoking, Code 2 hazard. True enough to deter curiosity. He still needs to seed the lie. At the road, he strips Kessler's insignia, pockets the ring, and props the body in the Opel cab like a drunk dozing off. He smears a ribbon of grape must across the tunic, then another across the truck's tailgate. Anyone glancing will see what they expect. Officers moved loot, drank too much, lurched off for interrogation. He takes 30 seconds to tear a page from a requisition book and scrawl a note in a clerk's hand. Weinkeller Film Kommandanter, with an invented stamp. Paper to match the story. Back at the lake, the tableau is unraveling. 3 officers remain, restless. One, the bully with the cheap rings twin, spots the Leica missing and swears. The Feldwebel at his elbow has started counting heads. The BMW's sidecar engine coughs. A bad minute is coming. Jacob steps into it before it hardens. "Inspection delayed," he snaps. "Orders changed. Artillery priority. You 3 now. Bring any film and your notebooks. Feldjäger are waiting at the cellar. Move." He doesn't ask. He turns and walks, assuming obedience so hard the world warps to fit it. 2 officers follow from habit. The third hesitates, gaze narrowing. He points at the gorget. "Let me see your Ausweis." Jacob doesn't break stride. "At the cellar," he says over his shoulder without slowing, "with the register." And he throws the man a problem so petty it feels real. "And for God's sake, cover the women. If Kommandantur sees this circus at the lake, they'll billet you in the stockade. Move." Petty fear beats vague suspicion. The man swears again, this time at bureaucracy, not at Jacob, and barks at a Gefreiter to round up clothing. Momentum is its own camouflage. Up the lane, the winery door yawns open like a mouth. Jacob's pulse is a metronome now. He has saved hours, not days. The Germans will radio soon. A patrol will ask for voices and call signs. The camera is in his tunic, heavy as a confession. He thinks of the women in the dark, breathing slow in a cellar that killed grapes last season and may yet save lives. He is off mission. He is alive anyway. and 3 more men are walking toward a door that doesn't know mercy. The third officer dies looking surprised, which is something Jacob always notices. They never expect death from paperwork. Hauptsturmführer Bremer ducks under the lintel first, glancing at the empty racks. "What a stench," he mutters. Jacob holds the door behind him. The second officer, young, uncertain, steps in next, flashlight cutting the dark. The third, the Feldwebel who had demanded Jacob's papers, lingers by the threshold. Always one skeptic. Always the hardest part. Jacob lets the door swing almost shut, cutting the light. "This way," he says in clipped German, leading them toward the fermentation tanks. "The Feldjäger team has the contraband." Bremer scoffs. "They send an inspector for wine bottles? Idiocy. Idiocy." Jacob agrees and kills the flashlight with his thumb. In the dark, the sound of motion magnifies. A boot scuffs stone. Metal breathes. Jacob moves first. He grabs the young officer's shoulder, spins him into a tank. The man's head hits iron with a hollow note. Jacob drops low, catches Bremer's pistol hand before the shot, drives it sideways, feels the flash against his ear. Gunpowder blooms. He wrenches, hears the ligaments snap, and fires once into the man's chest. The Feldwebel fires blind, a burst that tears plaster from the wall. Jacob rolls, lets the muzzle flash guide his aim, and fires twice. The second shot finds throat. The third officer never even falls. He slumps, still leaning forward, as if bowing. The cellar returns to silence. Drips, echoes, the faint hiss of escaping CO2. Jacob reloads, counts bodies. 3 more gone, 6 in total. 2 left by the lake, unaware that the world is closing around them. He climbs the stairs fast, blood already soaking into his sleeve. The wine smell masks everything. Outside, dusk bleeds violet over the hills. The women are still hidden. The road below lies empty except for the trucks. The last 2 officers, he knows, will notice soon that they are alone. And when they do, they will not reason, they will punish. He runs. The plan forms as he moves. The last men will check the trucks first, then search the road. The first stop will be the lake. The second, the winery. Jacob can't risk leading them back to the cellar. Not with the women below. He needs to pull them away, create noise, confusion, something that feels like resistance. In the tool shed behind the winery, he finds what he needs. A crate of grenades from an abandoned supply convoy painted gray, labeled Nebelkörper 39. Smoke grenades, not high explosive. Perfect. He tucks 3 into his belt, along with 2 stick grenades from Bremer's belt, and steals a half-empty jerrycan from the Opel. Then he rigs his last deception. He drives the Opel down to the lake, engine muffled, coasting on the slope. The trucks idle there, headlights off. He parks beside them, douses the cabin with the jerrycan's contents, and sets a rag in the mouth of the can. He lights it with the lieutenant's cigarette lighter, the tiny blue flame trembling in his hand. For a second, he watches it fragile, absolute. Then he tosses it into the cab and walks away. The fire blooms quietly, almost beautiful, before the fuel catches. When it does, it roars. The sound hits the forest like artillery. The 2 remaining officers come running from the lake shore, weapons drawn, shouting. Jacob crouches behind the ditch, watching their shapes cut against the glow. One shouts for men who are already dead. The other curses, waves his pistol, points toward the winery. "That's where the rats will be," he yells. "French bastards set us up." They sprint toward the road. Jacob lets them pass, then lobs a smoke grenade into the flames. The cloud rises thick, oily white. From the distance, it will look like a fuel dump hit by partisans. Any nearby patrol will come running, and so will the Maquis, if luck exists. He follows the officers up the slope, moving parallel through the pines, silent. They reach the winery courtyard, breathing hard, rifles up. One splits left toward the stable, the other heads for the cellar. Jacob follows the first, the younger of the two, jittery, shouting orders at shadows. He waits until the man kicks the stable door open, then pushes it shut behind him and fires through the wood. The impact hurls the man backward into the straw. The last officer, tall, lean, the ranking man of the unit, hears the shot and spins. "Who's there?" he shouts. The echo eats his words. Jacob steps from behind the barrel rack. The officer sees the SS uniform first, then the pistol. Confusion freezes him for half a heartbeat. Jacob doesn't speak. He just raises the camera, the Leica he stole earlier, and snaps a photo. The flashbulb blinds them both for an instant. When the light fades, Jacob's pistol is leveled. "Warham?" the officer asks, squinting. "Who are you?" "Someone who remembers faces." Jacob answers in perfect German and fires once. The man folds without drama. One moment authority, the next meat on the stones. For a long minute Jacob just stands there, chest heaving, the smell of smoke drifting up from the lake. 7 men dead, 7 ghosts in the dark. His mission is gone, his cover blown to ash. But the women are alive. For now, that word is enough. He hides the Leica under his tunic again, wipes the prints from the pistol, and moves back toward the cellar. The women are huddled under the vent, shivering. "C'est fini," he tells them. "It's over." But the look in their eyes tells him they don't believe it. Maybe they shouldn't. He leads them out, one by one, into the cold dawn light. The hills above the lake are quiet, except for the hiss of the burning opal. Somewhere beyond the ridge, engines rumble, German reinforcements, maybe, or American armor pushing north. Jacob doesn't know, doesn't care. His orders ended when the camera clicked. He hands the Leica to the oldest woman. "Take this," he says in French. "If they find me, you show it. It will be proof." "Proof of what?" she asks, voice shaking. "Of what men become," Jacob says, "and of what stops them." Then he turns toward the road, stripping off the SS tunic, leaving the insignia in the mud. The smoke thickens, the sun climbing behind it, painting the lake silver and red. Jacob Stein, OSS code name Haymaker, walks into the trees again, a ghost among ghosts, carrying nothing but a stolen camera and the memory of 7 men who thought no one was watching. Jacob doesn't sleep for 30 hours. He can't. Every second counts now. The opal's burning husk has drawn attention. Within an hour of the blast, a Luftwaffe patrol truck from Issoire and a platoon of Feldjägerkorps, the dreaded military police, arrive to investigate. They find the corpses, the wine cellar, and the camera flashbulb smoke still clinging to the rafters. The scene makes no sense. Officers dead without a firefight, women gone, papers signed but forged. Someone had moved through the place like smoke, then vanished. The Feldjäger captain, a man named Oberleutnant Franz, orders checkpoints on every road out of Besse. An infiltrator, he says. Or a traitor with imagination. He's right on both counts. Jacob knows the net is closing. His American radio is hidden under a hayloft beam in the next valley, 2 kilometers away. He can't risk reaching it before dark daylight patrols would spot a stranger instantly. So he moves through the forest with the women instead, guiding them along the old mule trails that twist above the lake, their breath clouds in the morning air. The youngest, Claire, stumbles often barefoot, the soles of her feet cut by rock. The oldest, Emily, doesn't speak at all, just clutches the Leica like a talisman. "Encore un peu," Jacob whispers. Then safety. Safety means the Maquis safe house near St. Flour. He'd never planned to see it. His mission was supposed to end with a coded message and a plane ticket home. But missions and lives diverge. He listens as they climb the faint drone of engines below, the metallic cough of a motorbike. Germans sweeping the roads. At noon, they shelter in a shepherd's hut, low stone walls, and a collapsed roof. The women collapse first, too exhausted to fear. Jacob takes the time to think, to chart their odds. Every man he killed will bring 10 more searching. He has no uniform now, only an undershirt, American boots, and blood-dried brown at his cuffs. In daylight, he looks like exactly what he is, a saboteur on borrowed time. By late afternoon, they hear trucks on the ridge. Jacob peers out through a gap in the wall. A convoy, half a dozen Feldjäger in gray coats, rifles slung, a Kubelwagen in front. They stop at a crossroads. The officer in the lead, Franz, gets out, pacing the dirt. He points toward the hills. Jacob's heart drops. The man's brought dogs. They don't have much time. He turns to the women. We can't run together. Too many footprints. He pulls a map from his pocket, draws a circle with the stub of a pencil. There's a barn here, near a vineyard. Go there, wait until night, then find the road to St. Flower. If you see Maquisards, say Haymaker. They'll help. Claire shakes her head violently. No, not without you. Jacob looks at her, sees the terror hardening into something else, resolve. If they catch me, he says quietly, they'll kill me slow. If they catch you, they'll do worse. You want this to mean something? Survive. He presses the Leica into Emily's hands. Show this to whoever finds you. Tell them the lake, the officers, everything. Then he does what spies are trained never to do. He steps into the open. The dogs find him 10 minutes later, just where he planned, by the stream below the ridge, where his scent is thick, and the wind carries it straight to the patrol. France's men fan out, weapons raised. Stehen bleiben, the captain shouts. Hands up. Jacob freezes, palms high. His German is flawless. Ich bin Untersturmführer Weiss, he says, breathing hard. SS Commando. Abschnitt Clermont. Your checkpoints have ruined my operation. Franz squints. Your operation? Your operation? Jacob spins the lie from truth. A counter-sabotage detail. An OSS agent in our uniforms, posing as Feldgendarmerie. He killed my men at the lake, 7 dead. He gestures toward the smoke rising faintly over the trees. That fire? He did that. I've been tracking him since dawn. The dogs circle him, confused by the scent of his own blood and the burned uniforms. Franz studies him for a long moment. Show me your papers. Jacob reaches slowly into his jacket. His hand closes not on papers but on one of the Nebelkerper grenades still in his belt. He pulls it out, lets the pin clink against the stone, and throws it at the officer's boots. White smoke erupts, thick and acrid. The dogs howl. Franz shouts, firing blind. Jacob dives into the stream, rolls, and sprints for the trees as bullets snap overhead. For the next half hour, the forest becomes a chessboard of noise and echo. Franz's men spread out, shouting, firing into shadows. Jacob moves by memory, following the valley downward, cutting back through gullies where the sound dies fast. Twice a bullet passes close enough to tear bark beside his head. By the time he reaches the old viaduct, his lungs are fire, his body mud and sweat. He looks back once, sees shapes moving through the fog. They're still coming. He can't lead them to the women. He needs to end the pursuit here. There's an old rail trestle ahead, a single-track bridge spanning a ravine 40 meters deep. Rusted, abandoned, perfect. He strips the last stick grenade from his belt, pulls the cord fuse, and wedges it into the gap between 2 sleepers halfway across. Then, he crouches at the far end and waits, counting heartbeats. Franz appears first, pistol drawn, coat flapping. Behind him, 3 soldiers with rifles. "Stop!" the captain shouts. "You're cornered!" Jacob stands slowly, lets them see him silhouetted against the fog. "So were your friends," he says in German. The grenade goes off before they can fire. The blast isn't huge, but the shock wave travels through the trestle like a scream. The old bridge gives way, splintering under their weight. Franz and his men vanish into the mist with the sound of tearing iron. Silence follows, heavy and absolute. Jacob sinks to his knees, breath ragged. Below him, the ravine echoes with settling debris. He knows he's not safe. More Germans will come, but the immediate threat is gone. The women will have a few hours, maybe more. Enough time to reach Saint-Flour, enough to make the story live. He wipes blood from his temple and laughs once, low and bitter. The OSS manual never covered this. Behind him, the mountains are already swallowing the smoke, the lake below reflecting nothing at all. Night in the Auvergne doesn't fall. It collapses. By the time the last echo of the viaduct fades, Jacob is already moving again, half limping, half running, soaked through, every nerve stretched to wire. His watch is gone. His radio is gone. He has one goal left. Reach the extraction valley before dawn, and hope the Maquis are still alive to hear his code phrase. Below, the ravine steams faintly where Franz and his men fell. Jacob doesn't check. He's done checking bodies. The ones that mattered are already ghosts in his mind. The women at the lake, the husbands in the ditch, the officers whose laughter still echoes behind his eyes. The forest turns into a geography of exhaustion. He moves by instinct now, each footstep rehearsed in silence. The wind smells of pine, snowmelt, and smoke. He reaches the edge of a meadow, sees the faint glimmer of farmhouses down the slope. In the valley beyond, headlights crawl a convoy. Maybe German, maybe not. He keeps to the hedgerows,